Hi everyone! So it has been a little while since I've done a would I buy it style video. I definitely put it off when I began my no buy because I didn't want to get sucked into the whole TrendMood circle and make some bad choices. But I think I'm in a place finally where I can go back there again, and I think that I can look at new releases and not be overwhelmed. We are going to see what happens. This is definitely going to be a fun experiment. I'm very out of the loop with new makeup releases, and I don't want to be anymore. Even if I can't afford anything, I want to know what's going on. So I thought that I would try and perhaps bring this series back. I'm sorry if it's shadowy right now. I have two burnt out light bulbs above me and I can't afford to replace them till payday. So this is the situation that we're in. All right, so let's talk about some new products. I'm very excited. I only somewhat know about new things, usually from Twitter and occasionally from other people's videos, but I do tend to avoid people's videos that talk a lot about new products just because I have been very triggered by it, and just a lot of the content I tend to watch doesn't involve new products. So anyway, let's scoot on over here so I can insert some beautiful images up here. I have TrendMood open. It's just the easiest, largest resource for new makeup releases. I'm also covered in cashmere hair. Sorry, I was giving her lots of cuddles, so I have lots of white fur all over. Fun times. Okay. All right, so we're just gonna scroll through TrendMood and see what is new, what is happening. Obviously, I can't afford to purchase anything, so this is not a will I buy it. This is definitely a why I won't buy it, and I'm not gonna bore you with 20 minutes of being like, I can't afford it. But we're gonna talk about the things that I would have purchased or would consider purchasing, like if I had the money. Just, I'm sort of putting myself in that sort of mindset, being like, if somebody gave me the money to buy this product, would I or would I not, and why? So the first thing I see here, I'm gonna kind of scroll through some of like the re-releases and re-promotes and stuff because I'm sure TrendMood is getting paid for some of that stuff, and I'm gonna start with this. Looks like a new product from Too Faced. This is the Peach Perfect Instant Coverage Matte Concealer. It's waterproof, sweat-proof, non-comedogenic, and it lasts for 14 hours. It covers anything that you want to cover, from pigmentation to acne scars. So on first glance, and from reading the description, it really reminds me of the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. I don't think this is anything that I would be looking into purchasing because it's matte. My skin has been very dry, and a matte concealer would be absolutely useless for me and my skin. I have used a couple of the matte makeup products I still have lingering around, and my skin has looked horrific because it is just so dry. So a matte concealer, no. I do like the peach line in general from Too Faced. The stuff I've used from the line before has been pretty good and has worked pretty well for me. I'm not exactly sure where I stand on Too Faced. I know a lot of people have canceled the brand over and over again. I won't say that I've necessarily joined that, but it's a little bit questionable, and definitely not a brand that immediately comes to mind as one of my absolute favorites, despite having some products that I do really like that I still have. Next, I see from Glossier, we have a few things it looks like. Sky Wash, which is a sheer matte lid tint liquid to powder eyeshadow that gives a diffused soft effect. Ooh, these look pretty. These are okay, I feel like Glossier, some of these fun products really remind me of some of the drugstore products from the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm pretty sure CoverGirl or Maybelline had a product similar to this. It was like the Cool Effects sort of thing. That was the liquid to powder. I was very obsessed with like this pink pearlescent one. There are 7 shades. Inspired by dreamy Southwest landscapes. I mean, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. There's $18 each though, so no. There's Pool, Pebble, Echo, Terra, Valley, Palm, and Lawn. Very nice, simple names. This seems like a really cool, kind of simple product. Definitely fits with the Glossier aesthetic of like the very minimal, simple looks. Very sheer light wash of color. With some of these shades too, like the cornflower blue and the warm peach and the fresh green. I feel like we're seeing some of those soft, like just single shade washes of color, almost pastel. I don't see swatches of what they all look like. It looks like just potentially the peachy one on the lid, but I do see like the blue and the green, and it do look like they could potentially be a little pastel-y, little wash of color that would be very simple just on its own. Put a lot of mascara on. You could do false lashes or just like a winged liner if you just had that on just on your lid and like left your lower lash line bare. I feel like that's very fresh right now, and to see that little bit of color on the lid and just keep everything else so simple, and I feel like it's very Glossier. Is it something that I would personally purchase? I don't think so. It's kind of gimmicky. The whole liquid to powder effect, they've done that. Other brands have done that. This is a very common thing. I do like the idea behind it a lot, but I don't see myself using it very consistently, and I feel like I could probably achieve a very similar look with products that I already have. So there's a new Selena by MAC Cosmetics collection coming in April. I didn't buy anything from the first collection, not a Selena fan. The makeup style isn't my personal preference, so this is an easy pass for me. I think it's easy to pass on collaborations and collections when you're not a super fan of the person that is part of the collaboration. See, like I'd be absolutely screwed if it was one of my like absolute favorite, you know, music artist or something doing a collaboration, because I would absolutely want everything. And it's easy for me, and even in the past when I was purchasing a lot of things, I easily skipped over collaborations with people that I wasn't super fans of. It might have been like an occasional product or like one thing, but in general, it's very aimed towards a specific audience, and I'm not that audience. And you will get a lot of people who are just collectors of like Selena memorabilia that will be all over this as well. So it does make sense for MAC to do this because the first collection was so successful, and I imagine that they made quite a bit of profit from it. There's a couple more new products from Too Faced: Primed and Poreless Primer and a face powder. Neither one of these things really are intriguing to me. I am always looking for new primers to use, always. And I do like sort of primers that focus on camouflaging pores. But again, the more I kind of consider and look at Too Faced stuff, the more I'm just like, why buy Too Faced when I could buy, you know, all these other brands that initially come to mind? Like, I was like, why would I buy a Too Faced primer when I can buy Makeup Forever primer, which is one of my favorites. There is a collection from Sleek Makeup, and I don't think that I've used any Sleek products before. I can't remember, so that's not a good sign. It's the Sunset Vibes collection. So it's a highlighter palette, a eyeshadow palette, and a liquid highlighter. So it does look very pretty. It is definitely a sunset vibe for sure. The liquid highlighter looks fairly dark gold, which would be useless for me. The highlighter palette also looks to be a little bit deeper, which is something that wouldn't work for me as much as I wish it would. Sometimes I look at some of those beautiful gold highlighters, I'm like, I wish. And the eyeshadow palette is very pretty. This is the kind of stuff that I tend to gravitate towards. Reds, oranges, pinks, yellows, a gold thrown in there, and a purple, and a brown. You can really create like these standard sunset, sunrise looks with this sort of color scheme, but I have all these colors already. And I'd say a lot of people probably have those kind of colors already. Doesn't mean that it's not pretty. And I believe Sleek is a little bit more affordable from what I remember hearing about them in the past. But again, it's not a brand that I'm very familiar with. There are new products from Jouer. There is new blushes and new lip products. So we have Essential Hydrating Lip Oil and blushes. I think their blushes look very, very pretty. This set here, it's Blush Bouquet in, I want to say it's Darling. It doesn't specify in the picture, but it's brown and pink. Looks beautiful. Oh my god, that is the pink blush of my dreams right there. I used my Modern Renaissance palette for blush today. I've been playing around with the shadows as blush because I'm getting ready to say goodbye to that palette, and I have so many pans of powder blush. It doesn't mean that I'm not drawn to them over and over and over again. And I've heard a lot of good things about Jouer products like highlighters and their blushes, and they just look pretty. Even if they didn't function well, at least they look good. That's not a good reason to buy something, but there you have it. I would consider it if someone gave me the money to buy that particular blush duo, because it's really beautiful and I think I'd get a lot of use out of it. But it's also hard to tell from the pictures as well if that is exactly the shade of pink that I've been sort of wanting and how it would actually translate on my face, because sometimes blushes look very good in the pan and it looks like it's exactly what you want it, and you apply it and it just does not look the same. I probably have some things that look similar to this in the pan that just don't translate as well onto my face. So it's misleading sometimes with pictures, and it's definitely something that I'd want to see in person first and sort of swatch it and like blend it out on like the back of my hand to see how it would sort of function a little bit before I would purchase something, especially from a brand I've never tried before. There is some new stuff from MAC, the Cherry Blossom collection. MAC Petal Power. So these things have metallic pink packaging with cherry blossoms for spring. Florals for spring. Groundbreaking. Okay, so there's lipstick, lip gloss. There's a mineralized skin finish highlighter in Lightscapade, which is one that they've had forever. Fix Plus in pretty packaging. Prep and prime for the lips, and another brush. It's definitely pretty. I think MAC is pretty smart for putting their standard products and some of the most loved stuff in new packaging. The lipsticks I think are new. The names are Skew, Sea Sheer, and Craving. I'm not too familiar with new MAC lipsticks, but they seem sort of that cherry blossom shade. So they're very pretty. I don't really get suckered into limited edition packaging. It's not something that I would end up keeping. I go through a couple of bottles of Fix Plus in a year, and I wouldn't necessarily need a special fancy pretty one, although again, it is pretty and I can see why it would appeal to people. Or if someone was thinking about buying one of the classic MAC products, like if somebody was considering purchasing something like Lightscapade and wanted it just to look a little bit different, or maybe just that particular packaging would suck them in a little bit more. I'm guessing that MAC is still pushing out a lot of products, a lot of collections. Again, I've been out of this loop for almost 2 years, I would say. So it's fun looking at what is still happening. And some of these, like that MAC collection, looks like it could have came out 2 years ago. Like it doesn't, there's nothing fresh about it, which is sort of sad, because I definitely feel like MAC is so good, but these weird limited edition collections just need to stop. There are some new palettes coming from Huda Beauty. 3 new pastel palettes. Pastel Rose, Lilac, and Mint. I will say, aesthetically, beautiful. The way that like the swirls in some of those shades have definitely caught my eye. The packaging, beautiful. Absolutely, like, Huda knows what she's doing with these 9-pan palettes. Like, these are remarkable to look at. After my experience with the Emerald palette from Huda, I am very skeptical on the performance of the shadows and definitely don't have any interest in purchasing them. I hear all the time about how people love the Huda 9-pan palettes and how well they work for them and how they're some of people's favorites, and just my experience hasn't been that good. And that's been enough to turn me off of using the products, because they just don't seem to cooperate very well with me. And I haven't been the only one. I've mentioned this a few times, and there have been a lot of people who have, you know, said it works so well, but there have been people who were like, I thought I was the only one that couldn't figure out how to use these things, and nothing I tried worked. And like, that's what's been so disappointing for me, is like, it would look beautiful for an hour, and then it would just be such a patchy, fadey mess with just like fallout everywhere, the glitter down my cheek, like just even using glitter glue and eyeshadow primers, like my standard ones that work with everything else, whatever I tried didn't work. So it's been very easy to talk myself out of the Huda palettes, just strictly based on formula. But the pastel thing, yes, this is what I want to see, and I will be very excited to see what people create with these palettes, and maybe see if I can pull some inspiration from stuff that I already have, because I know I'll be able to create some sort of pastel sort of looks with what I have by sharing out the shadows, using a white eyeshadow to mix with some of these shades to create some of those fun pastel things. I'm excited. I'm really excited when things come out like that. It's exciting to me because I'm excited to see what people create and to see people's creativity. So that's the good thing about it, but I don't need to purchase the products to get that enjoyment. And I can still interact with people using the palette, and I can still kind of recreate things with what I already have, and I don't have to worry about any questionable formulas. Looks like some fun stuff coming from Milani, the Ludicrous Lights collection. There's a duochrome highlighter, an eye topper, and a lip gloss. And it looks like it's a collaboration with Ali Brooke. I'm not familiar with Ali Brooke, but she's very pretty. She's very pretty. This seems like kind of a weird collection. So it does seem like there's a blue, peach, and a pink shade, and then each sort of set has the duochrome highlighter, eye topper, and lip gloss. Because like the blue duochrome highlighter feels very 3 years ago to me. Even the peach one and the pink one, like the pink, it feels like we've done this. We've done the duochrome highlighters in the sort of funky colors that had its moment, and I don't feel like that moment is here right now. I would have liked to seen duochrome eyeshadows. That would have been really fun. Milani has some really good complexion products. I've used the highlighters, I've used blushes constantly from Milani, and I think it looks very pretty. I'm not sure what those eye toppers are about, how those would perform. I just wish that there was something different with like that duochrome highlighter. It just feels very dated to me, and I think that they could have done like some very, you know, luminous blush or like a duochrome eyeshadow. I feel like it could have been a little bit more interesting. The Jaclyn Hill Morphe Volume 2 palette, pretty. I'm pretty sure I could dupe every single one of these shadows. I was thinking about doing a duping the vibes style video on this palette because it's so massive, and I feel like you could really sort of compress it and still get the sort of general vibe of the palette. It's very pretty. Jaclyn knows what she's doing when she's putting together eyeshadows. There's no doubt about it. She definitely knows color stories very well, and this is a beautiful color story. It's just not something that I need in my life. I'm like a reformed Jaclyn fangirl, and I remember being like super upset that I didn't get the original Morphe Jaclyn palette, because at the time, you know, I'm still a very big Jaclyn fan, and I've just sort of fallen off of that as of recently. So that kind of makes it a little easier to not want to buy this. I have Morphe shadows that I do use from time to time, and I do like the formula, especially the Morphe metallics are really, really nice, and there's a few pretty sort of shades that appear to be in this Volume 2 palette. But I just can't get behind supporting Jaclyn at this point. I feel like I'm just sort of tired. I'm just over it. Like, we knew she was coming back because she had something to sell. She acknowledged she was coming back because she had something to sell, and then she just appeared again. And it's just sort of sickening to me that it keeps happening and that people keep letting it happen, because people keep supporting and people keep buying. So I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon because I could easily do this for a couple of hours because I haven't seen any of these things in a while, and this is very fun. I'm definitely gonna have to make this a regular thing. So I see a eyeshadow palette from Dior, Rosewood. It looks beautiful. Base, some shimmers, some matte shades, and a base cream. It's $49. Looks like it was something used like editorially. I love the whole Backstage line from Dior. I was very into Dior when I was first getting into more higher end makeup, and it's just so appealing to me right now, this sort of aesthetic and the whole Backstage stuff. And it appeals to my wannabe makeup artist heart, who loves all the editorial stuff and loves Fashion Week and loves seeing all that backstage footage of the makeup artists supplying stuff to the models. It just makes me feel really good, and this is beautiful. I think Rosewood is just the perfect appropriate name. What a beautiful assortment of neutral shadows. I absolutely have like every single one of these shades, but this is something that I would consider purchasing if I was feeling bougie, just because I would replace some of the older things I had with this, and I feel like it would aesthetically fit with kind of my fantasy life. And those colors are beautiful and I wear them all the time. Okay, I'm gonna end it there. This feels like a very good place to end this for now. Let me know if you would like to see more of these sort of chatty videos on new releases. I would be more than happy to do so. I might just continue to do it anyway because I had a lot of fun just sort of digging through these products and looking and seeing what's out there and getting inspired again. I love looking at makeup. I love being inspired by makeup. That Dior palette is really speaking to me. I really want to dupe it. I think I can. And see what sort of aesthetic thing I can put some shadows in to sort of fill that luxury craving I'm having now after seeing that palette. It just looks very beautiful. I think I can probably come up with something, but anyway, thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it so much. Let me know if there are any other videos you would like to see from me. I'm doing my best to accommodate people's requests and just also having a lot of fun creating videos. So anyway, thank you again so much. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.